Assalamu alaikum dear students. Hope you all are doing well and having a great time at your home. This is your teacher Rosina of subject Social Studies for class 5, and today we will be doing some work in our workbook. So let's begin with the great name of Allah, who is the most merciful and beneficial. So take out your workbooks, page number 1. So the first question is, what sort of things would you expect to see on a mountain? Draw and color. So you have to draw and color those things that you expect you can see on a mountain. For example, if you have ever experienced to go to the mountainous regions of Pakistan, you would have seen that there are mountains, definitely. There are pine trees, and there are some other type of trees that are only found on the mountainous areas. Then you would have seen some kind of animals and other things as well that you could not find on the plain regions, but they are only on the mountainous regions. So you have to draw those all things and you have to color them. Then moving on towards the next page, move towards page number 3 of your workbook. The question is, on the map highlight the physical regions with the given colors. Now you have been given the colors that are dark brown, light brown, green, yellow and blue. So for mountainous regions you have to color dark brown for plateau, light brown for plains, green for desert, yellow, and for coastal region blue. So you have to color the mountainous regions with the dark brown, plateaus with the light brown, and all the others. For example, we have read that the mountainous regions of Pakistan are in the northern area, in the north of the Pakistan. So you have to color this area dark brown. Then we have discussed that coastal regions are in the Sindh and in some areas of Balochistan near the Arabian Sea. So you have to color blue, you have to color this area blue, and same you have to for the deserts. We have discussed where are the deserts, we have discussed where are the plains, and we have discussed where are the plateaus. So you have to color all these regions according to the given colors. Then moving towards page number 4. On page number 4 you can see there is a matching. So match the landform to its name and description. So the first is plateau, so you have to see where is the plateau, so you have to match the plateau with the plateau. Then you have to see where is the mountain, so you have to match the mountain with a mountain. Then a plain, so you have to match the plain with the plain, desert to the desert, and coast to the coastal region. Then moving on towards page number 5, you have given the question, compare the life of a family living in one of the deserts in Pakistan with the life of a family living in the upper Indus plains. So the life of the people living in the desert region is different from the people living in the Indus plain. So you have to write down the differences. For example, the food, you have to compare. For example, food. In the desert area we have discussed that people, they used to move from one place to another place in search of food for themselves and for their animals. So they are not being provided with the food as easily as the people living on the plain areas are being provided. For example, in desert the land is not fertile. The land is why not fertile? Because there is very less rainfall. So there is a very sandy land there is sand all over the desert, and it is not possible for them to grow crops there. So you have to write that the people living in the desert move from one place to another place in search of food for themselves and for animals. They are not being provided with the food because the land in the desert is not fertile and they could not grow crops. Okay, then for the plain you have to write that people living in the plain, in the upper Indus plains, they have enough food because the land or the soil is very fertile because of the high amount of rainfall, and the people grow and the crops are and there are enough crops, and the soil is fertile for cultivation, so the people are having enough food. Then you have to write about the clothes of the desert people. In some deserts the people wear very light clothes of the stuff like cotton, right? But in some desert areas people wear thick clothes, because when they wear the thick clothes, it prevents the drying of the sweat, right? It prevents the sweat from the drying. The sweat is not dried, so it helps them in being hydrated, right? Because in the desert areas there is a very high temperature, so if they will sweat all the time, and if they will sweat all the time, and the sweat will be you can say evaporated from their body, it will dry from their body, it will make them dehydrated, right? Then in the plain regions people wear the clothes according to the climate, according to the weather. Like in summers they wear the clothes that are very light like cotton, and in winter they wear the clothes made up of wool like sweaters and jackets, right? Then houses in desert, the houses are made up of mud, and they are called the desert homes, right? And they do not have the furniture like we have. They usually have the floor setting. They have the sitting area or the sleeping area on the floors, while we have different rooms. We have dining room, we have the hall, we have the guest room, we have the bedrooms. So they do not have these sorts of rooms, so they have small homes made up of mud, while in the plain regions people have very luxurious houses made up of bricks and cement, and they have electricity, they have water, and they have the furnitures, and they have different type of rooms. Then the job available for the desert people, they usually they herd animals, they keep animals like camels, and then they sell those animals, and then they earn money from it. Other than that, the desert people, we have read that the clothes, the embroideries, and the other stuff that are made by the people living in the desert, it's very famous all over the world. So they make the pots, the crockery, and they make the clothes and the embroideries. While people living on the plain areas, they have different jobs. They have jobs in the factories, they have jobs in the different organizations, and you can say that their job is like they have different type of jobs as well. Other than that, you can say that people living in the plain areas, they do not have to fight for the food, right? They do not have to do a lot of struggle to get the food, so their life and their jobs are very much easier as compared to the people living on the desert areas. So this was all. You have to do just all these pages in your workbooks. Now take out your textbooks. In the textbooks we have completed the unit 1, and I gave you the task to write down the questions. I hope the answers were clear to you. If you have any confusion, you have any queries, so you can ask me in the comments below. So you can write down your queries, your questions, and if you are confused and you have any type of difficulty, just write down in the comments below, and I will answer your questions in the next video. Now when you will start if you have written the question answers, it is well and good. If you haven't written the question answers yet, you must write down it today. You have to write down the vocabulary. So for vocabulary, you have to write down the vocabulary which you have learned, right? You can write any of 7 to 8 words from the book which you find are the new for you, and you can make at least 5 blanks, fill in the blanks, 5 true false, and 5 MCQs from the chapter. You can make any of the 5 blanks, any of the 5 MCQs, and any of the 5 true and false. It is not bound for you. I am not going to mark it for you. Which you find interesting, you can you can write those, you can make the objectives from those sentences, and you can write any of the words, 7 to 8 words you have to write down. I hope you know the how do you manage the answer page in your notebooks. So at above, so on the upper line you have to write the date, you have to write the classwork, then you have to write the unit 1, you have to write the name, and then as we go as we do in the class, you have to write the topic. Topic could be question answers, topic vocabulary, topic fill in the blanks, and the true false or MCQs, and you have to start writing your exercise. And I hope that you will do your exercise today, and if you have done your exercise, let me know in the comments. Write down done the exercise so that I should know that you have completed your exercise. Okay, so today we will be starting our new unit, chapter number 1. So the unit name is the importance of maps. I hope you all know what the maps are, right? So we will be discussing about the maps in this chapter. Maps are generally used to describe the important features of the land, right? Important features of the land, as well as nowadays we do not have the map on the paper, but in the earlier ages, in a very old time, people used the maps that were made on the paper or on the sheet whenever they whenever they wanted to travel. Now what happens is that we are in the 21st century, and we are the technologically very developed nations and very developed people, very developed generation. So we have the map in our phones. So you must have seen the Google map. So what you do is that you just write down the name of the destination where you want to go, and then the map shows you the path, and you then just travel according to that path. So we will be discussing that how were the maps, what are the different types of the maps, and what is the function of the map. But here we will be discussing about the maps that are on the sheet and on the paper. So we have discussed that maps, it shows the important features of a specific area of a land, visual or graphic form. So it shows us the important features of a specific area. Now you can see this is the map of the Pakistan, and it is showing the population distribution, right? That how many are the people living in these certain areas. So it shows important features. It does not only show the population, it shows the natural features, natural landscapes, it shows the roads, it shows the railways, it shows the buildings, and it shows many other things, right? So they help us understand important things about the surface of the earth in a visual way, right? So a map shows us the natural features like rivers and mountains, and it also shows the distribution of the another map may show us the distribution of human population in Pakistan, as we have discussed in this map. Then they say that when we look at the maps, we must remember that they only show us the top view of the features of earth. Now for example, if you move in an aeroplane, and if for example you are flying like a bird, so the way you see the area below you is the same as it is shown in the map, right? If you are flying, if you are in the aeroplane, and when you see down below towards the earth, you do not see you do not see the inside of the houses. You just see the roads, you just see the railway tracks, you just see the buildings, you see the mountains and rivers and all that. So map is like that, right? When you move upward in the sky, so the land below, as the land is shown to you below, as you see the land that is below you, that is the same way map is being made and map is being given, right? So the map does not show inside of the streets, it does not show inside of the houses, it just show the overview of the area. For example, on a city map of Lahore, you would see the roads, towns, and important landmarks from above. You would not see the inside of a house or building, right? So the map, it gives us a lot of information. It tells us the answers of where are we, right? For example, we are near in a certain area, right? And we want to move. For example, we are in Peshawar and we want to go to Islamabad, right? So the map helps us to know that, okay, now we are in KPK, now we are moving towards Punjab, now we are in this area, now we are in this area, and this much distance is left to reach Islamabad. So it tells us that where are we, at which certain point are we, and in which direction we have to take to reach to our destination, right? And it also tells us that what we will find in that place. For example, would we find rivers, would we find mountains, and all that. So move towards page number 12. Difference between globe and a map. I hope you have heard the name of a globe as well, and you have heard a name of a map as well. You can see the image of a globe. Now what is a globe? Globe is round and map is flat, right? Globe is round and map is flat. Globe tells us more accurately about the earth, because as it is round, we can correctly see that where the specific country is. We can also, you can see that this earth is bit tilted, right? So this globe also shows us the axle of earth and how it is tilted. The earth is not like, the earth is bit, this is the axis of the earth, right? You can see this is the axis of the earth, this is the axle of the earth. The earth is bit tilted, it is bit tilted towards the direction of the sun, right? So it moves like this around its axis. So it tells us that how much the earth is tilted, and it also tells us about the longitudes and latitudes. The lines, we will be discussing about the longitudes and latitudes in detail in the next chapter. So it tells us about the longitudes and the latitudes as well. It also tells us about it also tells us about the exact location of the it tells us the exact location of the specific countries as well, right? And maps are not 100% accurate because they are flat pictures, right? The only one benefit of the map is that it can be folded easily and we can take it wherever we want, right? But we cannot identify where a certain country is, but we cannot find it 100% accurate. You see, you cannot draw the surface of a round planet on a flat map and get it exactly right. For example, if you look at Antarctica on the world map and then globe, you will find differences in shape. However, maps are more practical for daily use. So if you see that here it is Antarctica on the globe, right? So it is Antarctica, right? So you can see the exact location of Antarctica on the globe, that it is somewhere here, right? So you can see that this is shown from above, from the upper side of the globe, that this is Antarctica, and these are all the longitudes and latitudes and the Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean, and you can see the exact location, and you can see the exact shape of the Antarctica. So you see this is the exact shape of the Antarctica, whereas on the map you can see that it is not the exact shape of the Antarctica, right? Then we have the types of maps. Now we have different types of map. The one we have is the weather map. A weather map shows the weather patterns in an area at a particular time. It shows us the temperature, it shows us the weather. Now this map, if you can see, it tells us about the rainfall from July to September. Now this is the area where there will be a very high amount of rainfall. This is the area where there will be a very little amount of rainfall. This is the area where there will be a moderate amount of rainfall. So this map tells us about the weather of Pakistan. Then we have physical map. The physical map tells us about the landscape, for example the rivers and mountains and lakes, and you always have this key along with the map which can tell you that what the specific color or what the specific line means, right? Then we have the political map. The political map tells us about the provinces, and it tells us about the capital, and it tells us about the capital. You can see here it is the capital, Islamabad of Pakistan, and these are the provinces. You can see all the provinces are given the different color, so it can divide the provinces. Then we have the road map. Road map as is indicated from the word road, that it tells us the road. Now you can see these are the red lines, they tell us about the roads. Now there, if you can see, there are a lot of different types of lines, right? Some are thick red, some are light and red in color. So you can see that there is the key. It is also called a legend, we will be discussing about it. So this key is given, so you can see that what does this thick line means, what does this light line means, what does these dots means. So the road map shows us about the roads, the railroad tracks, the airports, and it also is useful in planning trips, right? So if you have the road map, you can plan a trip and you can go anywhere you like. Page number 14. Okay, here you can see a map. Now we will be discussing about the elements of map. You can see that here we have the map of a Pakistan, right? So you see the map of the Pakistan. The first element is title. Now what is the title? The title is, on every map you will see that we have a specific title, right? So this title says Pakistan Airways. Pakistan Airways. It means that this map will show us about the airways of Pakistan, right? So it tells us about, so the title is very simple and it shows the main purpose of the map, that what this map is about. Then we have the symbols. Symbols means these are the symbols you can see. So these symbols tells us. Now you see that there are a lot of symbols. You see there are the lines, there are some thick lines, there are some dotted lines, there are some thin lines, there are some dots. You see there are some symbols there, and they have the aeroplane made in them. So these shows us, these symbols shows us that what this specific symbol means. So you see here it is written the boundary international. So the thick line means the boundary international. So you see that this is a thick line, so it means that it is dividing the Pakistan from the other countries. Then we have provinces with a thin line. So you see these are the thin lines. You see these are, where are they? These are the thin lines. So they are dividing one province from the other province, right? Okay, then we have, for example, we have this symbol. This symbol shows the capital of country. It is a square having a red dot inside it, so it shows the capital of a country. So you see here it is Islamabad, and if you pay a close attention to it, there is a box having a dot inside it, so it shows us the capital. So the symbols shows us that what these symbols indicate on the map. Then we have direction indicator. Direction indicator is this. Compass is called. It shows us that which direction is the map. For example, this is the upward direction is north, so this is north of Pakistan. This is south, so this is south of Pakistan, east of Pakistan, and west of Pakistan. So the directions tells us about the north, south, east, and west of the map. So on most maps, north points towards the top of the map. So north is usually on the top of the map. Then we have legend. Now what is the legend? Legends are these, as we have discussed. So if this is also called a key. If we do not have this, for example, we do not have this legend, we do not have these symbols and these words, what will happen is that if you pay a close attention to the map, you see there is one symbol, a red circle having an aeroplane made inside it. Now you can say that it can indicate the airport, but if you see there is another symbol having red circle and aeroplane made inside it. Now this symbol is different, this symbol is different, right? So we would not be able to comprehend, we would not be able to understand what these two symbols differentiate. So if we do not have a legend, we would not be able to know what these are. But if we have legend, see, now it says international airport and it says domestic airport. So now we know that these are the international airports and these are the domestic airports, right? So the legend is very important to show us, to tell us that what the symbols on the map means. Then we have the scale bar. Now this is important. If you see that this is Jammu and Kashmir, if you see this is Gilgit Baltistan, and on the whole if you see this is Pakistan. Now the size of the Pakistan is not only this much, this is, you can say a few of the centimeters, right, or the few of the inches. Pakistan is not this much. So the scale helps us to know that the scale helps us to know the actual length of the area or of the specific thing on the land. For example, if this, we will be discussing the scale bars in the next chapter as well in detail, but just to but I will just tell you generally that if, for example, Gilgit Baltistan, this is the area Gilgit Baltistan, right? Now it, in the real, Gilgit Baltistan is not this much small, right? So the scale helps us to know that this, if this area is, for example, they have given us, I'm just giving you the example, if they are saying that this is this area is, in the real, if for example Gilgit Baltistan is 100 square kilometers per mile, right? So in the map they will be telling us about that, they will be showing us a specific number, and from that number we will be able to guess that what could be the actual length or actual area of the specific province or of a specific country, right? So we will be discussing the scale bar in detail. Then we have the grid lines. Now grid lines also shows us, if you see, these are the grid lines, right? Now these grid lines shows us, it tells us about that where the specific region is. Now you see these grid lines tells us that where the KPK is, where the Sindh is, where Balochistan is. So the grid lines, grids help you to locate places on maps, and a grid uses lines to make numbered rows and columns. So these are, so the rows goes from, the rows are horizontal, these are the horizontal, these are the rows, and columns are vertical. So you see these are the lines. If you pay close attention in your textbooks, you will see that there are the grid lines. So the grid lines tells us about it helps us in locating the certain places on the maps. Now we have the types of symbols. So we have different types of symbols. The first are the area symbols. They tells us about the countries, parks, lakes and forests. These are the area symbols. Then we have the line symbols. You see, these are the, it tells us about the international boundary and it tells us about the boundaries, right? So these are the area symbols. Then we have the line symbols. The line symbols tells us about the rivers, streams, railway tracks. You see, this is the symbol for the road, this is the symbol for the railway track. Then we have the point symbols. Point symbols tells us about the different buildings. For example, it tells these signs are dots or triangles, and they are used to tell us about the wells, the dams, the schools, the mosques, the churches and mountains, etc. Then we have the colors of the symbols. Now the symbols usually have the colors. Now these colors are very close to our real life. For example, the blue color is represented for the water, the brown color is represented for the mountains, and for the green color is represented for the forests. So the colors are usually very near to real life, so that we could easily understand that what these colors indicate. Then we have the next chapter. It is about the using the scales. I have told you that we will be discussing in detail what these scales means, and how do we measure the scales on the map, and then how do we make its comparison with the real things on the land. So we will be discussing this in our next lecture. I hope the lecture is clear to you. If you have any type of queries or any type of confusion, you can ask me in the comments, and I hope that you will do your homework, you will do your task, the question answers, the vocabulary, the objectives, fill in the blanks, MCQs, and the true false, and you have to complete your workbook pages as well. And I hope that you will complete your work today, and then please let me know that you have completed your work. And I hope the lecture was clear to you. This was all for today. We will be continuing the chapters and the unit in the next lecture. Take care of yourselves. Allah Hafiz.